From the 1959 album TV Western Theme Songs on Coral Records, that was Lawrence Welk and his orchestra with the theme to Sugarfoot. Well, making his 10th appearance on the program today, and just a few days short of his 92nd birthday, we're so happy to welcome back Dagwood Bumstead, Howie Dickerson, Woodrow Woody Banner, Tom Wilson of Clambake fame, and Tom Brewster. Sugarfoot himself, Will Hutchins, welcome back to the show.
I want to thank you for scaring the pants off me. This makes me more nervous than opening on Broadway.
Now, by saying that, does this mean you're doing the interview without your pants on? Is that... That's a surprise. Is that one of the perks of being 92? You can just go around without your pants on? And soon.
It's okay, officer. I'm 92. Don't worry about a thing.
So I thought we would do something a little bit different this time round. Seeing as how you're a celebrity, there are questions in quotes. There are questions about you on the internet when you go to Google.
Oh.
So as a public service, I thought we would answer the top 5 questions about Will Hutchins on Google.
See, that sounds great if I only knew the answers.
Okay.
Wow. I'm taking Prevagen, but you know.
Well, we'll see. I think you should be able to answer these. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is, what is Will Hutchins doing now?
I'm sitting here talking to Ghosty on the telephone.
I told you these were going to be easy. Question 2, how old is Will Hutchins?
Oh, you spell that with 5 L's. Old Will Hutchins is so old that when he was 5 years old, he wasn't 5, he was V.
And question 3, I'd never asked you this before. Who played Billy Poe on Gunsmoke?
I guess I have to plead guilty on that one. That was an interesting experience. I won Gunsmoke. The producer said, now we're considering you for a running part. And I thought, oh, wow, gee. No one told me that Dennis Weaver was quitting the show and going elsewhere. So I just played him straight. And then when it was all over, the guy that got me the part, Fred Roos, he came up to me and said, you should have played him goofy. You should have played him cockeyed, no holds barred. You should have done it that way. I said, well, no one told me to. So the guy that got it would play him sort of like another Chester, or even more haywire. So that was that. And I played Billy Poe, to answer the question.
There you are.
And I think Billy Poe lost, but I played him.
So here's question 4.
Okay.
Is Will Hutchins married?
Hey, Babs, are we married? Yeah, my wife assures me. We just had our 37th wedding anniversary. Oh, 34th. It seems like 37. We just had our 34th wedding anniversary yesterday. And Babs wore her white boots that we got married in. And I thought that was so sweet. We had a cowboy marriage. Her boss had a spacious house in San Marino, California. And we invited all our friends to do it up cowboy style and bring their own grub. And we provided the blankets and the quilts and the booze, yeah. I think she's coaching me from the other room.
All right.
And the Reverend, we worked out a gag. At the time, I was working in the warehouse at NBC, and we worked out a gag with the Reverend. He was supposed to say, now, if anyone knows why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. He never did that usually, but he did that for this one time. And so he said that, and all my buddies in the warehouse went, hey, well, no, stop, before it's too... Ah! You could hear them all the way to Pasadena.
Well, here's the final question. The
Okay.
final Google question.
It sounds like Jeopardy.
Right, you're on a game show, sure.
Yeah.
Where can I watch Sugarfoot?
Unfortunately, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but we got canceled here in New York. We were on MeTVPlus. We were on every Sunday for about 7-8 weeks, and they showed my first season, and it was just a joy to see it. I've got all the DVDs of them, but it's more fun when you know everybody else is watching too, and with the commercials and everything. And Then they canceled it for some reason on MeTV New York area. But people can still get it in places like Indiana or Patterson, New York, or other places like that.
Well,
Failing that, you can always buy it from Amazon at a pretty good price. It doesn't cost that much.
Well, evidently, it is on all over the country. I don't know what it is about New York. I'll just say this. New York
I guess
is...
we're not sophisticated.
That's what it is. New York is kind of backwards. I guess check your local listings, like they say, is what you would have to do. But there is something on video that everyone can watch, and I don't think we've talked about it since you did it, and that's your appearance on A Word on Westerns.
Oh, yeah. What is that, YouTube? You YouTube that? And just dial up, or what do you call it, A Word on Westerns, Rob Word on Westerns, and then / Will Hutchins. And if you don't want to watch me, he's got about every other cowboy that ever operated as interviewees. So it's just a terrific show.
It is, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So in addition to those top 5 Google questions, I was Googling you, and I thought about asking you some things that we've never talked about before on the show. I went to your IMDb page, and I know in the past we had talked about an early program you did called Conflict.
Oh, yeah, that's how I started, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was another show, Matinee Theater.
Matinee Theater, yeah, that was the actual start. I was going to UCLA Film School, and they had an all-points bulletin for college kids to try out for this show that came on every day at noon LA time on NBC called Matinee Theater, and it was live, shot live. So I went over there and tried out. And lo and behold, they gave me the lead. And John Conte, remember John Conte? He was the MC. And it was a neat show. Every day was a different show. It was an anthology. And I got invited back 3 more times. And one time I was working at Warner Brothers, and they asked me if I could do it, and Warner's let me do it. And I played Gene Raymond's son. Remember Gene Raymond? He was Jeanette MacDonald. She was Mrs. Gene Raymond. Anyhow, he had very blonde hair, and my hair was just kind of sandy. So they bleached it so I looked more like his son. And Bill Orr, the head of TV at Warner, said, I like that hair. So for about 2.5 years, they bleached my hair, and it really stung. Oh, ay. And so as the show went on, I said, well, couldn't we just sort of let it kind of creep back to its natural dirty blonde instead of this atrocious shade of blonde? And so they let me do that, and I went back to my natural color, which it is now. Reflexive gray for dignity.
Right, of course. Well, I was looking at the cast and all of the actors that appeared on Matinee Theater, and it really is a who's who of Hollywood. I mean, you've got Johnny Crawford.
Yeah.
Was in episodes. Margaret O'Brien did some episodes.
Yeah.
Angie Dickinson did 6.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I did 4. One of them... what was her name? She was a wonderful actress at MGM. She was a femme fatale. She played my mother on one show, and I sure didn't think of her as my mother. She was Audrey Totter, my wife.
Oh, wow!
She's a good head on my shoulders. Audrey Totter played my mother, and I just had such a crush on her. I wasn't a good method actor. I didn't think of her as my mother at all. And we had a scene together, and as I say, this is live TV, and I forgot my lines. And,
my goodness.
I was so in awe of her. And she carried on. She faked it and made the scene work. And God bless Audrey Totter for pulling me through that one. I forgot my lines coast to coast. Now, that is some fluff.
And do you know who else was in this show?
No.
John Carradine.
I got to work with him, too.
Guess who he played on Matinee Theater? Dracula.
Oh, of course. Well, he did it in a movie or two, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I made up a little thing. You know what's scary about Dracula's castle?
What's that?
There's no bathroom.
So that explains why Bela Lugosi always had that pained expression on his face. You know, I always love hearing stories about your run-ins with other celebrities. And one of my favorite stories, and I don't think you've ever told it on the show, was your...
Sometimes I've told you everything. You're like a psychiatrist. You get it out of me.
This one I don't think you've ever told.
Okay.
Your meeting with Eartha Kitt.
Oh. I'm laughing. Oh, yeah. Well, I had a manager who turned out to be kind of a sleazy guy. We won't go into details, but you got to be careful when you have a manager. You got to know him pretty well. Anyhow, he got invited to this New Year's Eve party, and he got me invited along with him. And so I went to the party, and I was feeling no pain. You know, the bubbly was flowing freely, and I was feeling kind of feisty. And there was Eartha Kitt at the party, and she didn't seem to be having any fun at all. She was just kind of a lonesome dove. You'd think she would have had guys all around her, but talk to people. She was a poet at the party. She just didn't seem to be having any fun at all. So later in the evening, when it was about time to go home almost, she was sitting on the couch. So I sat on the back of the couch with my side to her. I was facing away from her, but I turned to look at her sitting on the couch, and I was having no pain, and I lost my balance, and I went, boom, right at her feet. And she didn't even so much as give me a glance. And then I was such a raucous guy, I went up to Johnny Weissmuller at the party, and I said, I'd like to have your autograph, Mr. Body Smeller. You know, I was terrible. And finally, this guy we came with, he was a very strong guy. He picked me up and put me over his shoulder and got me out of there. And my manager was never invited back to that house again. So don't invite me to a party, folks.
See, you could have been roughed up by Cheetah and Boy outside, you know.
Yeah, Cheetah was very dangerous, you know. I always thought he was such a wonderful guy, but I understand one of the Tarzans had to quit because Cheetah bit him, and he couldn't go on, so somebody else had to replace him.
Well, who was it? It was Maureen O'Sullivan, right?
Oh, yeah. Boy. Oh, was she a Great Jane or what?
Yeah. Well, apparently, and I think I heard this from an interview with Mia Farrow, Cheetah was in love with Johnny Weissmuller. Right. So as a result, Cheetah would get very agitated when Maureen O'Sullivan was near Johnny Weiss. If they had to do a love scene or something, right? Cheetah would get very, very angry.
Oh, brother. Well, you know, if you watch that Tarzan and His Mate with Johnny Weissmuller and Maureen O'Sullivan, there's one shot of her, and the censors clipped it out. It's only for a second or two. I'm not going to say what it is, but she had quite a revealing outfit, to put it that way. So for 2 or 3 seconds, it goes plump. So that's my highlight for watching that movie.
You know, my favorite was the one where Tarzan went to New York.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Tarzan's Great Adventure or something.
That was it, right?
Yeah, New York Adventure or something, yeah.
And doesn't he jump off the Brooklyn Bridge or something?
Yeah, he didn't understand English too well. I'd go jump in the lake, so he did. But he was a great guy, and I know his son, Johnny Jr., a terrific guy. I ran into about everybody in Hollywood, and I got the car insurance bills to prove it.
Stomp, right here on the Vintage Rock and Pop Shop. Our guest today is soon-to-be 92 birthday boy Will Hutchins, and someone asked me to ask you if you had any memories of working on Sugarfoot with Joy Lansing.
Well, I'm telling you, Sugarfoot, he had some of the greatest leading ladies. They didn't just play swinging violets back at the ranch, and the cowboys go out and do all the dirty work. They came along. They were tough. They were tougher than Sugarfoot. Right. Yeah, tougher than Sugarfoot. But they were just terrific, and Joy was one of my favorites. I just watched the show recently, and she's in cahoots with the bad guys, and they think I know where the money's... Gwyn Big Boy Williams, that's a long story, but Gwyn Big Boy Williams hid the money when he was in jail. I was in jail with him, because I made a judge mad, and he put me in the clink to cool off. So I'm in there, and Big Boy Williams had hid the money that they stole from the bank in the jail cell. They thought I knew where the money was, but I wasn't. And Don Redberry got me drunk. And he said, and he got himself drunk because I kept switching drinks and pouring the drinks out. But Don Redberry said, you might as well tell us where the money is because we're going to kill you anyhow. And so I wouldn't tell them. So they got Joy Lansing to act real cuddly and snuggly with me, figuring she could get it out of me. And all of a sudden, there's a big gunfight and everything, and I'm trying to protect her, and she goes, "Oh, you Sugarfoot!" And I said, "But I'm trying. These people are trying. Oh, you dog!" Anyhow, she was terrific. Oh, in my last column, unfortunately, my 27 years has come to an end. Writing my column for Boyd Major's Western Clippings. I mean, he's disbanding the thing because I guess a lot of the people are dead now. The people he interviews and a lot of the viewers. There's not that many viewers anymore that are interested in that sort of thing. It might be boring, but it's my last column. I'm going to pay tribute to all those leading ladies and list each one by name. And I'm going to go through all 4 seasons and check out the cast on each one, so I won't leave anybody out. And now the current issue of Classic Images, that's that once a month periodical on the history of movies.
Yeah.
They've got a wonderful article in there by David Greenwood on the history of Westerns at Warner Brothers, emphasizing the TV Westerns. And that is such a terrific article. I recommend that to everybody. And there's a picture in there of 7 of us cowboys with guns drawn, 7 of us TV cowboys. Now, Clint Walker isn't in there because he was on strike. He went up and panned for gold up in Northern California and probably made a heck of a lot more money that way. But he wasn't in the picture. But I used to give these little talks at the senior center over in Glen Cove. And so I was over there once and gave a little talk. And we showed a Sugarfoot first. We showed that. And then I gave a little talk. And I showed I brought that picture to show. I said, we used to be on the wall at the Smithsonian Institute. I don't know if we're still there, but we were at one time during our heyday, H-A-Y. And so, but of all these cowboys, I'm the only one still around. And with that, Mr. Schwartz, I remember his name, he was senior, he stood up and pointed his cane at me and went, bang! Couldn't do much after that. That was a good closer.
So as we wrap up today, do you have any advice for those of us who are looking forward to turning 92 ourselves someday?
Well, just read the obits every day in the newspaper. And if you don't see your name, then get up and put your clothes on.
All right. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Babs and I just love your show, and we love all the guest people you interview, and we love your audience. Your audience is just the greatest, and the music's terrific. And I got you played my music, and what a thrill to be a disc jockey. I used to be a disc jockey for a while on the internet, but boy, this is really a thrill when you play my songs. That is just sensational.
Well, I'm glad you like that. In fact, we're going to close out the interview with one of your songs. I didn't realize that this song was on your list. You had a song that I didn't see because I forgot to turn the paper over. On the back, you had Passion Flower by Duke Ellington.
Yeah, I have to admit, I missed that. I said, well, I'll put that on the next one. Next year, I'll do it again.
Well, thanks again for coming on. We all wish you a happy 92. Not yet. It's coming up.
Maurice Chevalier said, how does it, I don't know how old he was, but say he was 92.
Sure.
How does it feel, Mr. Chevalier, to be 92? He says, not so bad when you consider the alternative. That was my Chevalier.
I'll tell you this. We had, there was a woman on the news here who just turned 107, and they asked her what her secret was. And she looked at the camera and she went, wine.
You know what Bab's favorite wine is?
What's that?
I want to go shopping.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day, and adios.
Adios, amigo, and adios, amigos. Yee-haw!